This small shipping container doesn't look like much, but the equipment packed inside it now powers an entire dairy farm. The milking, the cooling, the cheese making, and it's cut this family's electricity bill by around €25,000 a year. 5 generations have farmed this land in the French Pyrenees, and this is how they took back control of their own power. The farm sits at Lourdes, in the foothills of the Hautes-Pyrénées, and the work here hasn't always looked the same.
Well, in my great-grandfather's day there were pigs, and then after swine fever, a dairy herd was established. And since then, there's always been milk.
For Thibaut, carrying it on was never in doubt.
We've always worked with cows, and I've always been passionate about this work.
That passion gets tested daily.
Yes, it demands a lot of investment. It demands discipline too.
For years, the farm simply sold its milk on, much of it to industry, but the price paid to dairy farmers kept getting tighter, and the family needed another way to make the milk pay.
So then, in 2011, my parents, my mother, decided to start processing. At first they made yogurt, fromage blanc, cream for the Fresh Products Workshop.
The cheese workshop followed in 2019, and what comes out of it isn't just any cheese.
So we're in the IGP zone. That's the protected geographical indication, Tomme des Pyrénées.
Making it is a slow, hands-on process.
So the cows are milked twice a day, at 6 in the morning and in the evening. Then the milk is sent into a tank, a vat. It's there that the cheese is made. First, we inoculate it with lactic bacteria, which helps preserve the cheese and give it flavour. And then there's a process of stirring, cutting, turning, and then the next day we unmould it and salt it. The salting is what also contributes to the cheese's flavour. And then there's the aging phase, which lasts about 2 to 3 months.
And the flavour of the finished cheese depends on getting one thing exact.
The temperatures during production are important to respect because they affect the workings, the texture of the cheese. So it's important to be precise about these parameters.
All that heating and cooling takes a great deal of power, and a few years ago the cost of that power turned into a serious problem.
Well, in 2021 to 2022, there was a sharp rise in energy costs following various events, notably the war in Ukraine.
For a business that depends on power day and night, the yearly figure climbed fast.
Electricity used to come to about €17,000 a year, and in 2022, it rose to €33,000.
Faced with bills like that, the family started looking for a way out.
And so to limit costs, electricity costs, we looked for solutions, notably producing our own electricity and storing it to best optimize.
For that, they brought in a local company that builds power systems for farms and homes across the mountains.
I'm the manager of the company, Compagnie Solaire des Pyrénées. We're based in the Pyrenees. We do off-grid or grid-connected photovoltaic installations.
The farm came to them with a clear aim.
The farm approached Compagnie Solaire des Pyrénées because the electricity bills were really too heavy and were weighing on profitability. and the farm came to us mainly to reduce its dependence on the electrical grid.
Nous voir principalement pour réduire la dépendance au réseau électrique.
Before any kit went in, the firm did its homework.
En fait, en amont, on a récupéré.
Actually, beforehand, we gathered all the consumption data thanks to the energy meter, and we worked on the real data in the software we use, called Archelios. And we sized the battery bank to reach 80% self-consumption.
Everything that powers the farm now lives inside a single steel container.
Il faut avoir.
It takes a lot of skill, especially to certify it and make it grid connectable. So this type of installation takes about a month of workshop build and 3 weeks on site for a team.
Building it away from the farm wasn't just for convenience.
Preparing the container in the workshop lets us cut the installation cost and take the time for higher quality.
Once finished, the whole thing was lifted into place in one go, a complete power plant arriving on the back of a lorry. And it needs to be sizable because this farm is hungry for power.
The site's annual consumption is about 100,000 kilowatt-hour per year.
Hot water production is the farm's biggest energy demand. Inside this container is the solar and battery system designed to support it.
So, the PV installation. 100 kilowatt peak of solar panels, 50 kilowatt peak AC coupled with the brand Fronius, and 50 kilowatt peak DC coupled with the Victron brand. All this is connected to 3 multiplus-ii 215k VA units that let us run 3-phase. So it's a 45 kilowatt 3-phase installation with 90 kilowatt hours of lithium battery storage.
The farm had already experienced solar panels, as they have a number of large arrays on the cowsheds, but they were purely fed into the grid. The panels that charge the batteries directly does so through Victron Energy 450-200 charge controllers, and the whole system is watched live on a screen on site and online through Victron Energy's VRM. There's another job this system quietly does. If the grid ever drops, the farm doesn't.
These constraints also require a solution that keeps running during power cuts, so the Victron solutions are very well suited.
That matters more than it might sound. At the end of one building, a cold store holds the mature cheese at a steady 9 degrees Celsius, in close to full humidity. Lose power for too long and months of patient work could be lost. It hasn't all been completely smooth, and the team is honest about that.
We've had one problem since commissioning it. The clients increased their energy needs and so their peak demand. So that required us to adjust some settings and, above all, to use the grid as a draw point.
Even so, the case for it is hard to argue with.
Before, we were paying roughly 30,000 to 32,000 euros of electricity per year. And with this installation, we save roughly 25,000 a year, between 25,000 and 27,000 a year in savings.
And on top of that, a government grant for young farmers covered more than half of the €220,000 cost of the kit.
So the investment pays back over 8 years.
After watching prices climb beyond their control, this kind of stability is the part that matters most.
We no longer depend on all the various, as they say, everything that can happen, the whole global context that can push the price per kilowatt down or up. Here, our kilowatt is fixed and costs us the same.
For Thibaut, the gains go beyond the numbers on a bill.
So it's always a plus for the farm's image to tell our customers that our products are made with electricity produced on the farm.
There's a quiet pride in it too.
We produce green energy. And we produce our own energy. Local energy made on the land.
And this first container almost certainly won't be the last.
Yes, we all have roofs, so it's space put to good use. And so yes, if a building is put up, there'll be panels on that building. Very probably, very, very probably.
5 generations on, the milk still flows and the cheese still ages. The difference now is the power behind it. Made on the farm, owned by the family, and far less at the mercy of the world outside.